Since the 19th century, America's western frontier has been the font of inspiration for the writers of popular adventure novels, and Americans became familiar with storytellers of the Old West like Ned Buntline and Zane Grey. In the 20th century, writers began to draw inspiration from a new frontier, perhaps even a final frontier, the frontier of science fiction. Three writers, Robert Heinlein, Ray Bradbury, and Isaac Asimov, put together a whole genre of pop literature on intellectually solid ground.
Science fiction is a broad genre of fiction that tells speculative stories based on current science or technology. It was long the stepchild of American literature and a mainstay of B-movies, but that would change abruptly in the decade after World War II with the works of three masters of the genre, Robert Heinlein, Ray Bradbury, and Isaac Asimov. More than any other American science fiction writers, these three would popularize science fiction and bring it into mainstream American literature. At the dawn of the science fiction revolution in the 1940s and 50s, Robert Heinlein, a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, was the first American in mainstream science fiction. He was also the first to write high-quality science fiction stories for young adults. And he was the first to use plausible science and engineering ideas in his stories. Seldom equaled, he set a standard for authenticity in what is known as hard science fiction, particularly in his novel, Destination Moon, which was made into an Academy Award-winning film. This was followed by his best-selling novel, Stranger in a Strange Land. It would become a cult classic, an anthem for baby boomers who felt alienated in their own country. But perhaps Heinlein's most enduring accomplishment was bringing science fiction to thousands of young readers. His stories helped create a generation of scientifically and socially aware young adults. But Heinlein was more than hard science fiction or young adult literature. He helped open the door to social themes with his storylines about radical individualism, speculation about family relationships, and sexuality. The next member of the Big Three was Isaac Asimov. A prolific author, Asimov wrote or edited over 500 books, most of them science fiction and popular, non-science fiction science books. Asimov's best-known science fiction books are contained in his Foundation series. The series recounts the collapse and rebirth of a vast interstellar empire far in the future. At the same time as Foundation, Asimov started his positronic robot series with a collection of short stories, I, Robot. The robot series is most famous for Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. 1. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Then came Ray Bradbury, one of science fiction's biggest stars and influences, who displayed his genius in his 3 masterpiece books, The Illustrated Man, Fahrenheit 451, and The Martian Chronicles. Indeed, their social commentary and speculative ideas were widely read by the American public. Ray Bradbury is the most diverse writer of the group, publishing novels in fantasy, horror, science fiction, and mystery. Unlike Heinlein and Asimov, Bradbury did not go to college. He educated himself by reading in libraries. Influenced by space opera science fiction heroes Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, Bradbury soon began to write science fiction stories. Though usually characterized as a science fiction author, Bradbury soon used sci-fi to make contemporary social commentary, especially in his masterpiece novel, Fahrenheit 451. A chilling view of the future where an all-powerful government seeks to stifle human emotion and keep all people controlled and docile by banning and burning all books. The title is significant because it is the temperature where paper burns. In 1966, the novel was made into a movie starring Oscar Werner and Julie Christie. These three pioneers laid the foundation for future science fiction writers such as Kurt Vonnegut, Philip Jose Farmer, Vonda McIntyre, and William Gibson.